is the neurologist I see there at the University of Michigan, and he is an MD, PhD, and all he works with is Wilson's patients. But there's not that many of us out there, so he sees Wilson's disease one afternoon a week.
Wow, okay. So you all show up in the office at the same time?
No.
You don't? Well, maybe you sit around in the foyer talking to each other.
I think it's Dr. Ascari, he's an internist that he's mainly in the organ transplant department of the liver, but he specializes in Wilson's disease and does research.
Okay.
All right, so they tell me my life expectancy will be normal as long as I take my zinc.
Well, that's good news.
I don't know if that's the case or not. Right, one thing that I didn't say was, it's very closely related. So if someone in the family has Wilson's disease, the family member should be checked for it. And their kids should be checked for it. And their cousins should be checked for it. And their nieces and nephews should be checked for it. And their great-grandsons and great-granddaughters should be checked for it. So there is a possibility if someone was diagnosed because their big brother had it and they started treatment, one of those zinc but a lot of those people don't take their medicine or they skip it. They never had it, so they think, oh, nothing's wrong with me, and they skip it, too often. They might say, oh, I remember to take it. They remember to take it, but they'll go a week without it. But not everyone does that. But some of those people who are diagnosed without symptoms are more likely to get a job. Now, they still can't tell their employer at the interview, I have Wilson's disease. They just keep it to themselves. And today's laws, I think you don't have to reveal a disease. The Americans with Disabilities Act. But we know that's I'm
sure there's a way to
talk. It's not necessarily the truth.
Yeah, there's a Privacy Act or something,
Well, that's related,
right? Yeah.
And but there are certain jobs, if someone else's life is involved, and your life has a disease, you probably shouldn't practice. Like an airline pilot shouldn't fly an airplane. A doctor shouldn't be a doctor. Just certain things. Bus driver shouldn't. You shouldn't be a bus driver. Sweeping the floors in a business building, you probably do.
Can't have a high-risk job.
Can't have a high-risk job.
Especially for other people.
So, how can I handle recreation?
You paint?
I paint.
Uh-huh.
But I find the paintings just accumulate in your house, and it's hard to sell paintings. It's hard to store paintings. It's hard to transport paintings. It's hard to ship paintings. So
that kind of discouraging,
Yeah, that's in recreation sports. My hand-eye coordination is not very good, and a lot of sports you got to have. I never was very good at that.
You play bridge?
Oh yeah, I used to play chess, and I still would play chess, but there's no one to play chess with. The bridge, I've probably learned to do that maybe 3 or 4 years ago. Started learning how to play bridge, and there's a bridge club. Oh, I hadn't talked about moving to the UP yet.
No,
Well, I won't get into all the details, but I was living in Nacogdoches, and I got thrown in jail 2 different times. One was for that little road rage event, And a month later, I'm scared to death of cops, And a month later, I was driving home, and there was Texas Highway Patrol that did a U-turn, was following me. And I was just, why is this? And I parked at my house. It wasn't very far away from this, and I started running. I was going to run to a barn. I just didn't want to deal with this. And this highway patrolman pulls up in my driveway behind me and arrests me.
For erratic driving?
No, I didn't have my seatbelt on.
Oh.
But I was resisting arrest, and there was another charge for running from a police officer or something like that. I shouldn't have done that. That's my bad judgment there. And now at the jail, they had a phone. I think the phone was in every cell. No, that might not be the case. But Nacogdoches had a little more modern jail. You could bail yourself out with a credit card, which is nice.
Well, did you do that?
Yeah.
Okay. You still had to pay the ticket though, right?
Oh, yeah. You had to go to court and all that.
So you decided that was enough, and you moved to the...
Yeah, I had been through the UP the summer before. I think I was riding a BMW. And I didn't get any tickets that year. But I decided I was going to move to a beautiful place, a small little town right on Lake Superior. And I met a nice German lady who rode BMWs. And she said this is a great place to live. And I went up there. It was like Mayberry, North Carolina. It was just, there's no traffic, no super highways. There's a Walmart that's probably at least 10 miles out on the city edge. It's growing very slowly. Tourists seem to like it, and they will, the rich people will want a condo. And they're building condos there more than they're building houses. But it's a nice place to live. And I've gone to church mainly because these people are caring and loving, and they've accepted me. So I'm in choir, and I do the handbell choir, and that's a lot of fun. I look forward to that.
I've heard you. I've heard the recordings, and I heard your solo. Very good.
Oh, yeah, and I was going to sing a solo once, and I got so scared, and so I started taking Valium probably 4 hours before, and it still didn't work. So I shortened the solo.
Okay. Well, that'll help.
So I finally was able to do it. Oh, and when I was holding music, when I was just in the choir standing, my hands always shook, but I've learned just to put the music on a music stand and just turn it.
Right, there you go.
So that works.
Okay. All right.
But that's
your life now.
That's mainly my life. I'll ride a bike along Lake Superior. Right, so today's day and age, no one's going to hire someone with Wilson's disease. I mean, if they know about it. You got to be either self-employed or someone feels real sorry for you. Yeah. Most of my interviews that I had for a job, they'd call my main doctor, who was an expert in New York City, and they say, "Is Kirk Vestal able to do this?" And he would say, "I think so." And then the people would give me the opportunity. So this doctor in New York City really helped me, because he told potential employers, "Yes, I think Kirk can do this." But my final job that I had in Kansas City as an assistant professor of pathology, where I started having the seizures, everyone knew he couldn't say that anymore. And so anyway, I owe a lot to that Dr. Scheinberg, but he's gone now. He had Wilson's disease. He had
Oh, okay.
himself,
Oh, wow.
and he's the one that came up with penicillamine.
He was still practicing and still being productive, in his
Oh,
field,
oh, I'm sure up to 70 maybe. But
Wow.
and let me just say, the state boards, when it took to getting a license to practice medicine, they always wanted to make a deal out of the fact that I had this trouble, and usually I always had to go meet somebody and talk to them about it, and they wanted to get reports from my doctors, and in addition to the tests that I needed to take. And that was always a little bit of a drag. And Texas made me see a psychiatrist, not for psychotherapy, but just to watch for problems. And it turned out to be mainly for psychotherapy, which I didn't mention yet, at least.
Did you get electronic treatment or something?
No.
Okay.
This Dr. Scheinberg thought psychoanalysis would be best for me.
Okay.
And he had a point. So I started seeing a psychoanalyst in Connecticut, where I was doing my first years as a pathologist. And I think I was too screwed up for psychoanalysis. I mean, I just wasn't working as well as I should have been. And as I have said many times, some people were supportive, some people were negative. So that always caused problems. The negative people caused problems. Some people said Kirk has done such an amazing job living with Wilson's disease, and that was the good stuff. And some people say, I don't think Kirk Vestal is qualified or competent to be a doctor. I read some of the letters that I got. So it's like, hey, what do you do? Pray. So anyway, do I enjoy life today? Mostly I enjoy life today. It's a struggle. I think it's the same struggle as most people. It's mostly when I'm alone and the weather's bad. If there's sunshine, I can do fairly well, just reading a book, sitting outside, or going for a bike ride. But when it's dark and cold and the wind's blowing and I'm by myself,
The weather bothers you.
the weather bothers me.
You're susceptible to the changes in the weather.
Well, I suppose you could say, what is it called? A seasonal affective disorder, where you're dark and stuck inside for weeks at a time. I suppose I would have that, but I do go to bridge. But now bridge might come to an end because all the people are, older than 70. Not all of them, but most of them. And they'll slowly be dying off. And as Richard knows, golf is dying off. But everyone says, you'll find something else to do, Kirk. And so I hope I do. Oh, well, let me tell you some of the things that I have done. Like, I know, hey, I better take advantage of life while I can. So I went snowmobiling on a snowmobiling tour in Alaska last year. And I'm the oldest guy there except the owner of the company.
That was physically hard on you.
That was hard.
But you rode the snowmobiles for like 8 hours a day, which was nice and scenic, and enjoyable, except for bam, 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 bam.
Yeah, the last day. Oh, there was one place. I'm showing you the perpendicular. There's one place where here's the trail, and here's this little ledge, a hill, a sharp hill, and the good people could ride in and hit it and just jump over it. Now, what I had to do, not everyone could do that. I mean, what I had to do was just leave my snowmobile here, and the expert could do that with my snowmobile, and then he'd help you up the hill, with his hand.
Okay, all right.
And the last day, I was just beat.
How long did it take you to recover from that?
I don't remember how long it. But the last day, when it was only going to be half a day before we got back to the vehicles that were going to take us back to Anchorage. There was a bump about every 5 yards. There was a hard bump, and we couldn't go slow. We had to go 60 miles an hour, the maximum on these snowmobiles. So about every 5 yards, I was getting them, and that was. I wouldn't say I wouldn't go back, but I might go back. But now I think I'd like to take a BMW motorcycle tour through like New Zealand or South Africa.
Wow.
But this therapist that I see now, Kirk, are you going to tell the leaders of these tour companies, are you going to tell them you have grand mal seizures? And I'm going, oh, what should I do? And she says, you should. I mean, I know I should, but am I? I probably wouldn't get to go on a tour if I told them. But
does it have to be a physically demanding tour? I mean, can't you just go on a trip?
Oh yeah.
A sightseeing trip or something.
Well, I'm tentatively going to go to India in March. All right. I'm trying to think. Well, I guess I should sum it up. It's hard to tell just the world or the viewers that you should talk to everyone about Wilson's disease. I mean, chances are no one's ever going to see it. So I would say people that are acting kind of funny and maybe looking kind of funny and who have a slur or even schizophrenics or anyone with a nervous system disease, multiple sclerosis, Huntington's chorea, Parkinson's disease. You guys need to be loving, and you need to love everyone, but you need to give those people special attention. I would say that's the main thing, because whether it's Wilson's disease or not, and anyone that obviously has liver problems, if you know that, then also. But it's harder to see someone with liver problems. But if you know someone that has Wilson's disease, obviously be very, what's the right word?
Understanding?
Understanding, right. And I think that's about it.
Okay. All right. Well, Kirk Vestal, Dr. Vestal, thank you for appearing on the subject and for enlightening us on the subject of Wilson's disease. Appreciate your being here. Buddy.
Thanks for being my friend.
Well, thanks for being my friend. All right. See y'all later. Bye-bye.